Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. For this session, I'm going to be stepping into the role of your executive leadership coach. We're going to figure out exactly how to diagnose team dysfunction and build a completely unstoppable professional ecosystem using some incredibly powerful insights from Dr. Daryl Griffin. Look, if you manage people, you already know that keeping a team aligned is, well, it's easily one of the hardest parts of the job, right? But we're going to break down a highly effective diagnostic approach to solving that exact problem.
Here's our quick diagnostic roadmap for today. First, diagnosing your staph infection. Second, the Enneagram personality roadmap. Third, head, heart, and gut. Fourth, tailoring your communication style. And finally, curing the toxic culture.
Now, I really want you to ask yourself this critical question right now. Why is it that some teams absolutely thrive while others are just totally paralyzed by conflict? Take a second to really think about that. Because honestly, the answer rarely lies in just the sheer talent of the individuals on your payroll. Instead, it almost always comes down to the hardwired and often clashing personality dynamics operating right beneath the surface. And when you don't understand those dynamics, you're going to get friction.
Moving to Section 1. Diagnosing your staph infection, because we absolutely have to identify the disease before we can administer the cure.
Dr. Griffin uses a truly brilliant analogy here. Taking inspiration from a literal, life-threatening medical emergency, a staph infection in the human body, he coined the term staph infection, but spelled with a double F for your staph. Think about it. Just like a bacterial infection that enters the bloodstream and rapidly eats away at healthy tissue, a single unresolved negative attitude acts like bacteria in your organization's life source. If you leave it unchecked, this poisonous temperament penetrates your team, entirely depletes affirmative energy, and can literally kill your organization's momentum and mission. It's a real game changer when you look at it that way.
And so here are the primary carriers of that infection. We call them cave people, which stands for consistently against virtually everything. You know the ones. These are the toxic individuals who just drain your emotional resources. They act almost like defensive toddlers, demanding endless concessions while simultaneously and constantly undermining your team's progress. They just thrive on melodrama and chaos. No matter what data you present or what compromises you try to offer them, they complain. They are essentially the weeds in your corporate lawn. And if you don't know how to navigate them, they're going to choke out your top performers.
All right, Section 2, the Enneagram personality roadmap. Now that we know what's sickening the culture, let's map out the anatomy of your team.
We're using an incredibly precise 2,500-year-old diagnostic tool, the Enneagram. What's so fascinating here is that unlike your standard corporate personality quizzes that just observe surface-level behavior, the ones that just measure extroversion and that's it, the Enneagram actually goes deeper. It reveals the deep subconscious fears and motivations driving every single person on your payroll. It doesn't just tell you what someone does in a Tuesday morning meeting, it tells you why they do it. And the magic happens when you understand that why, because that unlocks the secret to actually managing them effectively.
So here is your executive cheat sheet for the 9 distinct human lenses. Once you diagnose which type your team members are, it's like a light bulb goes off. You immediately understand why they succeed in certain tasks and create massive friction in others. For example, look at type 1, the perfectionist. They are highly reliable, absolutely, but they can easily slip into micromanaging because they are absolutely terrified of being wrong. Or look at type 3, the achiever. They are all about efficiency and systems, but they might completely cut corners on relationships just to hit a metric. Or take type 9, the peacemaker. Incredibly collaborative, but they might avoid a really necessary conflict at all costs. As a leader, if you try to force-fit a highly analytical type 5 investigator into a super social type 2 caregiver role, well, you're just begging for burnout and resentment. You have to know exactly who is on your bus and exactly what seat they belong in. Let's jump to Section 3, head, heart, and gut. This is how we simplify this roadmap for everyday management.
Because let's be real, you don't have time to memorize all 9 specific types every single day. Instead, we can group your entire team into 3 primary operational systems, or energy centers. The crucial thing here is figuring out if an employee processes decisions primarily through their head, their heart, or their gut. Head types? They rely on intellect, analysis, and cold, hard data. Heart types rely on relationships, emotions, and the human impact. Gut types, on the other hand, rely on pure instinct, practical experience, and bottom-line action. So if you're pitching a new corporate initiative, just remember that each of these 3 centers is evaluating your proposal through a totally different filter.
Which brings us to Section 4, tailoring your communication style.
because once you've mapped out their energy center, you have to prescribe the correct treatment. You do this by fundamentally shifting how you communicate with them. Blanket communication just does not work in corporate leadership. Look at the stark contrast here. If you're pitching a head type, they will literally panic without meticulous data. If you walk in and say, hey, let's launch this new product, we'll figure out the details later, they are going to shut down entirely. They need the timeline, the budget, the hard facts. But if you take that exact same 50-page spreadsheet and hand it to a heart type, that data is going to overwhelm and completely disconnect them. A hard type is desperately looking for the human impact. They want to know, how does this new product help our actual customers? How does it affect our team's work-life balance? If you don't tailor that pitch, you lose the employee right there.
Now let's talk about that third center, the gut types, your 3s, 7s, and 8s. If you're pitching them, honestly, skip the massive data spreadsheets and definitely skip the emotional appeals. Gut types are driven by action and pure practicality. You gotta get straight to the bottom line. What's the ROI? What is the real-world difference this makes today? If you don't instantly prove the pragmatic value and the bottom-line purpose, they're gonna assume you're hiding something and they will instantly tune you out. They just want to know what difference it makes right now.
Adapting your communication like this? It isn't pandering at all. It's strategic leadership. Dr. Griffin uses this great analogy of a wolf pack in the wild. The survival of a wolf pack depends entirely on coordinated, mutually understood execution. If one wolf just decides to ignore the alpha strategy and run off on its own, the whole pack starves. It's the same in the corporate world. If you aren't communicating in a way that your team actually understands, you've got rogue players. You absolutely have to speak their language to get them aligned with the mission.
Moving on to our final step, Section 5, curing the toxic culture. Let's talk about the ultimate cure for securing a thriving, infection-free ecosystem.
Okay, this right here is often the hardest pill to swallow for managers, but it is absolutely vital. You have to stop trying to appease the unteachable cave people. As a leader, you must break the habit of pouring all your energy into trying to convert your chronically negative employees. It's a trap. Their demands are completely insatiable. No matter what concessions you make, they'll find a new reason to complain, and doing so literally drains the life and resources right out of your mission. So here is your direct action plan for tomorrow morning. Step 1. Diagnose the hardwiring of your team using the Enneagram. Figure out who is a head, heart, or gut type. Step 2. Radically adjust your presentation and communication style to secure their alignment. Speak their specific language. And Step 3. Purposefully redirect your coaching energy, your time, and your resources toward those who actually want to grow. In other words, stop watering the dead plants.
Dr. Griffin actually got this profound revelation from a lawn care worker who was fixing his deeply weed-infested yard. The worker didn't try to invent some new poison for the weeds. Instead, he said, I'm going to concentrate upon the healthy grass more than the weeds. The healthy grass will kill the weeds. It's so simple but so true. If you relentlessly water, train, and strengthen the positive, healthy people on your corporate team, their overwhelming productivity and positive culture will naturally choke out the toxic cave people. The weeds will either quietly leave the organization or they're going to be forced into silence by the sheer momentum of your highly aligned team. I'm going to leave you with this final provocative thought to take into your next management meeting. Who exactly is the healthy grass on your team, and how are you going to water them tomorrow? Identify your top performers today, figure out their Enneagram type, and build your communication strategy around helping them thrive. When you do that, your staff infections will become a thing of the past. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.